just a few days ago in protest of the violent crackdown. He has met with tribal leaders. They're trying to form what seems to be a provisional government. Certainly they do say that there will be no dialogue with Tripoli, that they're asking for the fall of the regime. And at the same time, they're trying to find a way to bring back civilian rule to the area here. They're also trying to find a way to rewrite the constitution. One interesting point is that you won't see anymore the green flag. That was the flag that represented, that came to Libya when Muammar Gaddafi became the leader, but rather now you do see the pre-Gaddafi era flag, and that is the monarchy flag.
Ibrahim Sahad is the Secretary General of an opposition group called the National Front for the Salvation of Libya. He says Colonel Gaddafi's days are numbered.
Well, it's a matter of days, if not hours, when we see this regime gone forever. It is the will of the people, is victorious people, and Gaddafi is losing. His aides start to defect, and they are defecting more and more. In every hour passing, the uprising is gaining grounds, Gaddafi losing grounds, but still Gaddafi poses a threat to the Libyan people. He is a most brutal person. He is internationally certified terrorist, declared as a terrorist in international arena. He committed a lot of crimes against other countries, and he committed so many crimes against Libyans. Now he is committing a mass murdering the Libyan people. It's a genocide in Libya.
After 4 days of searching, hopes of finding more survivors of the earthquake in New Zealand are now fading. Rescue crews are scouring the rubble, but the threat of aftershocks is hampering the operation. Tanya Page has the latest from Christchurch.
Rescuers are working around the clock. The Canterbury television building now a mangled pile of metal and concrete. There's little hope anyone will be found alive here, but they're still trying. More than half of the dead have been pulled from the rubble of Canterbury television, and an English language school also in the building. Police say up to 120 more bodies may be found. New amateur video filmed by a Japanese tourist shows the exact time the earthquake struck. A moment that has changed Christchurch forever. The death toll is steadily rising and the danger is far from over. The aftershocks come regularly, every one bringing this cliff face closer to further collapse. All the people who live near it were evacuated overnight. Boulders the size of cars have come crashing down. It's been raining here and more bad weather is forecast. The fear is that could loosen the soil, still holding up the remaining cliff.
Yeah, so Marty Murphy's been here 50 years. This is it, I'm afraid, isn't it, Marty?
Rob Dowson is moving his 84-year-old father-in-law out.
I think it's ripping him apart just by shifting out, but also, as I mentioned, this is going to be the story that's going to be repeated all over in this area.
Sewerage, electricity and water supplies are gradually being restored. But right through the city's eastern suburbs, roads and bridges are damaged. It will be many months before Christchurch is back on its feet. Tanya Page, AlJazeera, Christchurch, New Zealand.
In northwest Pakistan, another convoy of NATO fuel tankers has been attacked. At least 4 people were killed in Peshawar. Up to 25 trucks bound for Afghanistan were set ablaze at a NATO terminal on the Pakistani side of the border. Convoys have come under repeated attack. Nearly all fuel and supplies for US forces in Afghanistan travel along a land route in Pakistan. Iraq's government has imposed a curfew in Baghdad before planned demonstrations later on Friday. Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki is urging people not to take part, warning they could be attacked by al-Qaeda. Well, thousands of people unhappy with the performance of their new government are expected to rally. The US Justice Department says it has arrested a 20-year-old Saudi national for allegedly being part of a bomb plot against American targets. It says Khaled al-Dawsari was arrested on Wednesday. He's accused of trying to target former President George W. Bush and nuclear power plants. Al-Dawsari arrived in the United States in 2008 on a student visa. The US Justice Department says there's no evidence he was part of a group and was apparently acting alone. Julian Assange has condemned the extradition system as unfair. The WikiLeaks founder says he'll appeal after a British judge ruled he can be extradited to Sweden, where he's accused of rape and sexual assault. His lawyers argue he won't get a fair trial. He also risks being transported to the US, where he's infuriated many for leaking secret diplomatic cables. The United Nations says it will extend its mandate for peacekeepers in East Timor for another year. Since gaining independence from Indonesia more than a decade ago, the tiny nation of East Timor has struggled to look after its own security. Drew Ambrose has the details.
Abandoned homes in Osvaldo Gutierrez's neighbourhood are grim reminders of what happened in 2006. Political turmoil split East Timor's police and army into opposing factions, triggering violence that killed 37 people.
Our house was burnt down. I was emotional and traumatized and could only think about saving my life. We heard gunfights between the two forces from our compound.
After the violence, the United Nations took over the running and reform of East Timor's police force. Now, slowly, district by district, the UN is handing back power to local brigades.
UN one day will leave. It will provide our Timorese counterparts, Polícia Nacional Timor-Leste, with the proper tools to answer to any type of incident.
East Timor is keen to show off their forces, but there are concerns the UN has been ineffective in changing police culture.
I think it may have been that a smaller, more boutique police mission may have been more useful than a blanket executive policing mandate with 1,600 police, which is what we saw here in Timor.
There are plenty of triggers for further instability in East Timor. The population is rapidly growing. 40% of people here live below the poverty line, and social divisions which caused violence in the past still exist. In a country where a rebel resistance fought a 24-year war for independence, these police brigades believe they can again beat the odds on their own. Drew Ambrose, AlJazeera, Dili, East Timor.
Anger over Ireland's shattered economy is expected to see a backlash at the ballot box. Voters are expected to vent their anger at the Fianna Fáil party. It's blamed by many for turning the economy from one of Europe's most impressive to one of its poorest. Rory Challens reports.
Look at Ireland's tourist board video and it's obvious what they want visitors to see here. A land of green lanes, friendly pubs and Celtic charm. But banking crises and humiliating European bailouts have hurt Ireland's image overseas. Hoteliers like Joe O'Flynn say they're fighting a losing battle worsened by bad government policy.
The room rates have been driven down to unsustainable levels, artificially supported by the bank.